All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Mario Kart Central for some more MKWC 2026 action here. We are in the round of 16 today. We've seen four matches so far, with our seventh beginning now, as we had number five and six start last hour. Really excited to be casting this one, though. Germany versus Ireland. One of the matches with the potential to go to a game three or even have an upset happen today. So really excited to watch this one. I am joined by Ginja today. How are you doing?
I'm doing all right. And yeah, as you said, this matchup in particular has the capability to be very exciting. And I'm once again looking forward to watching it. And it is, remember, a best two out of three. It is not just one match since we are at the bracket stage.
Yeah, for sure. And as we take a look at the bracket here, we've got an updated graphic for you, which has the matches that were played this morning. So, as you can see, starting from the top left here, England coming out with a reverse sweep this morning against Australia. Really intense and exciting matchup. Uh, had the privilege to host that one. It was a really fun one to watch. Uh, then moving down, Japan two decisive victories against Chile here this morning as well. Japan, showing up and looking like they're old selves, if you will. Prior to last weekend where they took some pretty shocking losses. And then moving up to the top right here, Italy taking two victories against South Korea. Pretty close, all things considered, but um, two pretty strong wins for them regardless. And then in the bottom right, France taking two very nice victories against Calendombria, and that is the match we also saw a few hours ago on cast. So that's your updated bracket. And if you keep looking at the bottom right, the winner of this match is who will face France most likely tomorrow for the quarterfinals. And so, with that out of the way, let's go ahead and focus in on this matchup here. We have Team Germany being our host team today. We've got Cloud, Jojo, Cavino, Ollie, Ray, and Saga. Um, and many of these players we saw last week in the match we casted against Team England. Uh, Jojo, again, being the standout player for this team. Uh, being one of, if not the best player in the Western community, specifically in Lounge, standout performances. Cloud and Cavino, both, and Ray actually, all coming from the same team, being Inferno. So prior chemistry being built between them uh, through Atlas League and other tournaments they've played. Um, and then Saga and Ollie being two standout players as well on Team Germany. So a lot of overall experience here, and as you can see, um, being one of the teams that upset Japan, as I mentioned before last weekend.
Yeah, and they definitely have the firepower to beat Ireland, excuse me. But I'm surprised to not see Julian in this lineup. He had a pretty standout performance last weekend, but maybe they're going to bring him in as like a substitute in match two potentially, or depending on availability. But we will look at Ireland's lineup now. And this lineup in particular, D-Man, Emmy, Looser, Menace, Owen, and the Mystery. And right off the bat, our POV Looser is a name to watch. They were very solid in last week's performances, especially in last week's performance against Calendombria, excuse me. They did exceptionally well. And this whole team has a lot of depth. Actually, both teams have a lot of depth, so they could make some changes in this best of three scenario, which is something that we didn't see it all last week. It was just one match, and you basically just play one match. And with this, now you can start off with these lineups, but you can adjust them on the fly. If something goes wrong match one, maybe you want to change something. But we are going to see, at least for now, this lineup, both these lineups actually being utilized by both of these teams.
Yeah, for sure. Do want to elaborate a couple things though. I see a couple people already pointing out in the chat. Keelan is actually playing. Keelan is subbing in for Emmy at the last minute. I'm assuming it was because Keelan was unsure if they could play the first match, but they are now available. So Keelan subbing in for Emmy um, here. And then want to point out you mentioned Julian having a really strong performance last week, and I do agree, although I am a close friend of his, so I can share this information. He is on vacation for the rest of World Cup, so he will not be available for Germany um, for the rest of the event. So, um, and yeah, like you said, he had a really strong performance against England last week and against um, USA as well. So, um, yeah, I had to remember which match it was, but potentially a player they'll be missing out on for the matches this week. But I think players subbing in like Cloud and Rayos are going to be really strong for this team. Uh, so I think they are still in good hands, even with the changes here. As we do take a look at the lobby now, we are close to filling it up here, 9 in at the moment. And do want to point out one thing that I think Germany has, like, advantage wise over Ireland is the lines. I just think the raw driving. We've seen it from JoJo, but even players like Cavino and Cloud, two players who have very impressive timesheets. Cavino, particular, peaking in the top 25 on the players page. So really strong um, overall driver. And Cloud with some standout times as well. I think he held a top 10 time on Cheap Cheap Falls even a few months ago. I think it was semi-recently. So players who, you know, we'll have to see do their raw lines, carry them forward through this match, as we now see 11 in room as we are getting really close to starting here.
Yeah, and you did say that the lines matter, and it absolutely does, especially on those tracks which require that. I would say Whistle Stop Summit, especially, which we see, I believe one of our players is practicing at this point, and I think that's important to note because it's a very technical track, and a lot of these tracks are technical, and especially in a best of three, it's as we finally get our last player in the room. It's important to note that these technical tracks, they matter so much, and the lines required from it matter so much as well. And I think we're going to see really a skill gap between players that say know what they're doing compared to players that have a little bit trouble figuring out what they're doing, but they're still playing in a great position at the same time. So it'll be interesting to see obviously what tracks are picked, but also how those tracks can be utilized. As we see Rainbow Road getting picked off race 1, and we got a Bowser's Castle.
Yeah, for sure. BC coming in on the side of, I believe that's Germany. And yes, I do want to also mention the POVs we are seeing today. We have Looser for Team Ireland. And again, a player we've talked a lot about already. Going to be a very solid POV to watch. And then on Germany's side, we have Saga. So two very interesting POVs here for us. And going into our first race already, we've got Bowser's Castle, like you mentioned. Both are POV starting in top 2 here, as Saga is on that baby Luigi. Very curious, as I haven't seen him use that before, but we'll have to see what he's cooking there. Looser, off the bat, going for a modified version of that rail cut. He's forced onto the left wall and tricks over to the right wall and gets a really nice adaptation there to make it over the gap. But right off the bat, looks like a lot of Germany taking over those top spots early, as I do see, looks like a top 2 or maybe even top 3 for them right off the bat.
Yeah, great start for Germany here, getting the front presence that they need. But will it hold on? We do see, I believe it's a battle for last, but unfortunately for Looser, getting hit off of the edge and falling all the way back to 9th, and now even 10th. So they're going to have to play this. Also, a couple of players from Ireland are in the back, and we do see that Germany has now set themselves up really well, has great positioning, has one player in the back for shock. They're just looking really strong here. And if there is no shock pull from Ireland, it's going to be really hard for Ireland to break into that top spots.
Yeah, shock going to be a huge contributing factor to Ireland's race win here if they manage to pull it. As Lucer hanging out in the back right now, hopefully going for, well, he actually touches that box in ninth, so no build possible, and he unfortunately pulls the infamous 9th place coin shell, going to drop him down quite a bit. He'll have to go for a bill on this set if he wants any chance back in this race. As we now see, yeah, those German tops starting to break away. We do see multiple of them on the Baby Mario, the Baby Luigi from Saga, like we've talked about. I believe that's D-Man billing up, so at least one of Ireland able to maybe salvage something here. As now, it is actually an Irish member in second place, so it's not completely doom and gloom for them so far. We'll have to see, do they pull the mushroom? They do, but it also seems first place did have a mushroom as well, so it's really going to come down to this last set if that Irish player can pull something. They actually pull a mushroom, so Ireland is getting first here. That is a big salvage for them, considering how many tops Germany have behind. As we see Lucer shrooming, trying to avoid this ice on the line. He gets hit, and he does drop a spot off that. I actually think that ice does matter there, as a Germany player passes him in 7th. We'll have to see the final result, though. And yeah, Killian holding down first, the last minute sub in for this match, but a 2-3-4-5 for Germany. Going to be a very solid start for them. Yeah, plus 10.
And the whole strategy there was just maintain top presence, and Germany did that exceptionally well. I don't think losing first there ended up dampening their mood at all. Yes, it would have been nice to start out with a first, but a plus 10 overall is a great start, and it builds momentum going into race 2. You want to start off clean, especially on a track like Bowser's Castle, and to get that early, and then you can pivot to maybe a whistle stop summit, which we're also going to see now. And I think that could be of a huge benefit for Germany.
Yeah, for sure. Sorry about that. As we do enter race 2 here, and already a Dandelion Depths pick coming out for Team Germany here. Very interesting, but it is actually going to end up being Ireland here with Whistle Stop. As yeah, our POVs are a bit synced here, so we're going to attempt, with the power of the YouTube stream, to sync them here going into this next race, as what I'm saying is pretty far ahead. And we should be synced here right about now. Yeah, should be good now as we do enter Whistle Stop on both POVs here. Yeah, perfect. Thank you, Luckio, for that. Shout out to our stream host, Luckio, for singing out those POVs for us. Yeah, they are pretty much perfectly in sync now. And Saga, very odd start. Tricking onto that left wall way too late is what is going to happen there. He's going to fall off because of that, starting off in the back. But again, with it being early, he can still reach this set before the 20 seconds are passed. Actually, no, I think the 20 seconds have already passed, as he does pull that star on the second set here. If I were him, honestly, I would chain again. Yeah, in 10th place, he can definitely get something better, and he does. Triple Shrooms Bill, he's in a very comfortable seat to get back into the front early here, especially with this Bill. Probably opt to use it for the U-turn cut. The most common shock. It is the most common shock spot, but the most common Bill spot as well on this track.
Yeah, and I think they're going to probably opt to use it maybe around here, as you said. And they are. And I like this strategy. One, having a mushroom in 4th is great. And that could definitely allow them to take the ending shortcut. But also, two, unfortunately, getting redded by Mystery. But still, you can shroom up. Just wait to shroom up. Actually, no. I actually really like that strategy, actually. But getting back, that's just unfortunate. And having to go wide. But again, I like that strategy of holding onto that mushroom, going through the off-road to avoid those reds. But we see Lucer now having a Mega in 5th. And now I think you just try to play around it and try to predict shock. Maybe we're going to see it utilized here, potentially. And we are. And the shock comes out, and Lucer is perfectly able to dodge. I believe D-Man is in second. He is, so that's going to at least be 2-3 up there, maybe more. So right now, Ireland looking strong entering this last corner.
Unfortunately, the Looser not making that cut, the ending cut here, having to go around, but again, off of that dodge, he's just so far ahead, he loses nothing for that. That's a top 3 for Ireland off of that shock, and really well played from them here. Yeah, top 3, bottom 2, but this is still a solid race for them, as that should bring them, you know, very close to in the lead, if not in the lead. Yeah, +2 overall off of that race. Do want to point out as well, Saga pretty much doing exactly what I thought, burning the shrooms and then billing up at the end of lap 2 on the U-turn, but Mystery having an answer with those triple reds, and not only redding him before the cut, but backing him, entering the lap 3 rails as well. That forced him to go around and lose a lot of time. Really a solid play there from Mystery to maintain those tops for his team. I believe it was Killian once again and Looser, or not Looser, Looser Dodge, but it was D-Man as well up there, if I remember right. So, really strong race for them. Whistle Stop going in their favor for sure here. As now we see Sky High Sunday coming in as the pick for Team Ireland here. And unfortunately, Looser Stream did see some buffering on our end, so the POVs may be unsynced once again, but that is, you know, is what it is. We can continue to work with that as we go. But now we're entering Dandelion Depths. This was Germany's pick. They have been picking it for a couple races now. Very curious to see what their strategy is going to be on this pretty unconventional track.
Yeah, maybe opting to sort of reset your positioning if possible. And I think I like this strategy from Germany. Trying to just get themselves back into the lead here and do so whatever is necessary. But we are going to see Looser here just opt to play around, and these tight lines as well being so effective. But having 4 shrooms in fourth is great, especially on this track. And only utilizing 1, I like that play because they have shrooms for the cut at the end of the lap, obviously. But then you could also shroom up, let's say if you get hit by something. But a green coming out, multiple greens actually, going to try to take Looser out, but it won't be successful. As we see Looser shrooming up, and you gotta watch out for those triple greens. Cavino trying to play aggressive with them, and they will opt to just use them away. And right now having a shroom, but again triple greens coming out, and that's going to take care of Looser.
Nice hit from Cloud there, but it does appear Ireland still in top 2 with Mystery in first on that coin coffer. That makes it very easy to tell who they are up in the front now, as actually okay, it is pretty close up there. I think Ireland's still holding on to top 2 for the moment, as Loose are going to take on more of a bagging role here, either going for shock or some sort of catch-up item. As now it looks like we are back in sync again. Very nice, as Saga is going to shroom up here. He has to watch out for these bombs, though. They're going to spawn on the spiral. Same with Mystery in first. We'll have to see if he can outrun them or if he's going to get hit. And looking at the minimap, yeah, he does get hit. So losing his breakaway, but still in first place. Nice greens up from, I think that was D-Man. But a lot of Germany still in those tops. Ireland need either shock or a lot of potential catch-up items here to
now we see,
mount this comeback.
We actually see now, I'm sorry for that, we see that Ireland has now put themselves in a great position, top 3 at the moment, with Looser holding onto this mushroom, potentially going to take this cut unless there is a shock. There is no shock, and Looser will get the win, and everyone else comes in behind them, and Ireland gets another great race and puts themselves more into the lead. We do see, and it's a top 3, wow. 6, 7, 8. A great race for Ireland to give themselves even more of a lead that is now plus 30 to the side of Ireland. Such a great race, and on an unconventional track like Dandelion Depths.
Yeah, Germany's pick not really working out for them there, as Ireland were able to hold on to top spots for most of the race. Again, Mystery in particular up in the front for the last two laps. And yeah, we did see a couple of them shroom up and bill up towards the end, like the middle part of lap 3, but it just wasn't enough. They were so far broken away, and with enough decently high shroomers from Ireland, it was a very tall task for Germany there. So uh, great job to them for the capitalize on the opponent's track pick, as we now see Sky High being picked by Germany, or sorry, Ireland once again. A track that once again, I believe we've seen it still to this point in every single war that we've casted. But it is going to be Germany's pick once again, Desert Hills, a track that is very dynamic. There's a lot of different strategies that can be used by the players here, and we'll have to see how how both teams choose to split up the pack at the start.
It will be interesting to see what both of these teams, and honestly, all of these players opt to do. Looser in first, going to just pull a red, unfortunately not pulling mushrooms from that first item box, but they do have positioning advantages going for the back as well, and we see just the spots really interchange, but a mushroom here from Looser is going to help at least for chaining potential. Getting it's actually a 6th place box, triple mushrooms and triple reds, probably going to opt to hold on to those reds potentially for as long as possible. Maybe just play him as defense, but we do see Ray right behind Looser actually, and Cavino right in front, so the reds are going to be used. But unfortunately, Looser hitting Owen and almost hitting Mystery, but luckily does hit Cavino, and Cavino again, potentially. But again, I don't know if it's the greatest strategy to try to get rid of these reds right now.
Yeah, it will be tough to tell here, but going into lap 3, Looser with some very interesting items here. He could opt to shroom immediately and try and hit Ollie. Not quite going to land, as he does have that fire, but it is Owen in front of him, so it's at least a 2-3 for Ireland right now. With a lot of the pack being very close, though, going into lap 3. This is still anyone's race here, as these last two cuts, especially with the golden mushroom, are super powerful. Looser going to protect himself, but he has the red for Ollie. It is going to land. A very interesting play for Ollie to shroom ahead of them here, but naturally, Looser going to lose some spots on the line to people shrooming up, but still a decent amount of Germany in the bottom spots here, as going into the line, yeah, Jojo able to hold on to first, but a 2-3-4 for Ireland, as I believe that's still a narrow winning race for them. Yeah.
It is slightly a winning race indeed, and definitely a race that Ireland probably is very happy with because of the positioning that Germany had, at least entering lap 3. I felt like they had the better positioning, but Ireland was still pretty much able to hold on to that, and that comes to the test of just knowledge and experience. And I feel like in this game, the more experience that you have, especially early on into its cycle, the better, and it could be of the benefit. But we are going to see Acorn Heights and a Crown City pick, but instead it's probably going to be a Moo, and it is Moo Meadows going to be picked, but instead it's Acorn Heights actually going to be selected.
Ireland track pick coming in now. This is Acorn Heights. And in the war, in the first war from today, we saw England versus Australia. We did see Australia favor this track for their middle to bottom spots, and Ireland holding on to a couple of those, but they do have 2-3-4 as well, so we'll have to see what they opt for here. As again, this track with the triple shroom pulls on first set is a very, very strong runner. Saga, though, able to get into first, and yeah, 4 shroom pulls for him. He's just going to burn several of them to start to bounce that breakaway in the glider. You save so much time shrooming in that glider, as looking behind him, it is Ollie in second. So a lot of protection, and actually a decent amount of Germany in the tops right now. Saga shrooms do get stolen, but he only had one left, and he was already through that lap 1 cut. So he is in a very good spot now, and again, with Ollie presumably still behind him. Yes. Germany having a really solid start to this Acorn Heights.
Definitely a solid start indeed. And these triple greens are going to help as they are going to be utilized and potentially, I think it did actually. We see a lot of Germany actually now in the back, and it is Saga holding first, and the blue shell is out as well, going to take Saga out. And that's going to give Ireland, again, more of this front presence, and a lot of them are taking cut. So that's going to give them at least 2-3, but we do see a Pipa coming up there as well, holding on to first. But unfortunately for Looser, getting hit off there and losing a couple spots. But at this point, I don't think it's really the worst possible situation because now you're in a great spot for Shock and going to opt to chain. But a Bill here, a very good pull to put themselves in a great positioning, entering the cut at the end of the lap.
Yeah, Looser can potentially do wonders with that Bill golden pole as we go back to Saga here, managing to stay pretty high in the front even after the blue shell, but getting the rail is not going to help him as we do enter the ending of the track. A bit of lag on our screen share, but it is watchable for the moment as now Saga unfortunately getting having to he couldn't go rail, so having to go around and losing a decent amount of spots off that. But I do believe it was Ollie. No, actually, it ends up being JoJo, but I'm keeping first. But look at this, a bottom 5 for Germany. That is a huge swing. Not a swing, but a huge momentum boost on top of the momentum they already had for Ireland here. 2 through 7. That's a really strong race for them. And Germany starting to lose control of this war.
Germany needs to get one race at a time in terms of the gains, but at this point, especially entering halfway, it's going to be important to just get a winning race here. Try to get that momentum back, because you do not want to go down 100 entering race 8. Like, that is not. They're already down close to 60. They don't want to go down, let's say, 80 after 8, because that's going to be hard to come back from. It's very much doable, but it's hard to come back from. So we're going to see Moo Meadows and Shy Guy Bazaar, but we are going to go to Moo, and this is probably Germany's pick again. And they need to utilize this pick for their advantage.
We've seen a decent amount of teams pick this track, but it's definitely not a conventional pick, and it's definitely a very what's the word I'm looking for? A very specialized pick, if you will. A lot of teams, specifically pick this because it's unconventional, and they do enjoy it. So Germany seeming to be one of those teams here, as now we are entering lap 1. They did start bottom 5, but this track, even though it is still considered a bagger after the update, is quite runnable, as we do see Looser trolling with these triple reds in 11th. Gonna see if he continues to hold JoJo back now. He's just gonna opt to start chaining now. Golden Mega, very solid for him. He can get back into... he can catch up with the pack again and still get a low place chain here. Using the Mega, getting JoJo once again trolling here. Fully taking on this bagging roll at this point, as now... Triple Shrooms Bill, still no shock for him, but will most likely continue to go for it here.
Yeah, and the Bill being utilized in a situation where it is important to catch up, obviously, but having a golden in the pocket is going to make it even easier for Looser to catch up here. Gonna opt to just spam away that golden and going to pull something else in the pocket. It's a Bill, and that's, again, it's gonna give Looser more of an opportunity to catch up, more of an opportunity to pull items in the back and then Bill. And that's what's going to happen. They're going to pull a last place box, and it's triple mushrooms, and it may not be the best in this situation, but I think billing upcoming is going to help, and they're going to bill now, actually, and they've put themselves in interesting spots because they have to go around the cut, obviously, but They're going to not be able to get a box, unfortunately, but that build's going to last for such a long time. I don't think it's necessarily going to matter. Could they get a pass to the end? The horn not actually going to be used from Saga, so that's going to mean that Looser keeping 6th, and I think Ireland might have gotten first, but 2, 3, 4, 5 for Germany, a race that they desperately needed.
Germany holding on to the tops pretty well there, and getting themselves back into the war. Still down, but a lot more manageable now with that win here. And yeah, I think Looser's poll was a bit unfortunate. Having Bill instead of Golden for that cut was a bit unfortunate. Having to use Bill early there made it so that the Bill went past that last set. And only having triple shrooms in pocket was not ideal, but even if he pulled a Golden, I think he maybe gains 1 or 2 spots max over the triple shrooms. So in the end, not the worst thing in the world for him, but 2 through 5, very solid there for Germany. As we continue into the next race here, DK Pass coming in for Germany, I believe, is their pick. Track track that we haven't seen too often this World Cup, as the benefits of the 1.7 update aren't really seen as much on this track as compared to other tracks like Dodgers Castle.
Yeah, but again, this is a track where anything could happen. You could start off great at the race, and what a pull immediately from Looser pulling that ghost and going to pull a mushroom. And put themselves, honestly, in a really great position here. They're going to opt to just hold on to it, but actually Shroom ahead now, putting themselves in second, and just playing around all of the other items, going for a double as well in second, but unfortunately pulling triple greens and a coin box. It is going to help their top speed, but I felt like they would have wanted something better from that item set, but then again, they have more sets to go. And the boomerang, actually utilizing the camera, a very interesting strategy, but a great strategy nonetheless. But probably not the type of items they were looking for in that scenario. Probably looking for more shrooms and now going to just play in the back. I like this strategy.
Yeah, Looser realizing he did not have the best items to stay in the front, so opting to bag now. As we go back up into the front now with Saga's POV, we see Owen in first, using a star to maintain here, but a 2-3 at the very least for Germany. Saga with the Shroom and Triple Nanas could be deadly if he can Shroom up and trail out Owen going into the line here. We'll have to see. He does have the Shroom. He looks like he's in a good position, but they are stolen right as he goes into the side of Owen there. And now both items without protection, but we go back to Looser's POV with Shock here in 6th place. He really needs to consider dropping down to try and get more of Germany in the Shock here. But no, he's actually just going to use it in 6th place, getting all of Germany. Actually, okay, so it looks like Saga did make it up the wall, but TSing 3rd and 4th potentially from Germany there, as now Ireland getting back up into those top spots. We see a lot of them shrooming here. Looser unfortunately taking a mega hit from Cloud, but a lot of, overall, a very solid Shock for Ireland so far.
Yeah, it's going to help a little bit. It's going to put themselves in a great position. And the Mega being used as well, that's going to help them at least gain a couple spots. Not going to... Oh! Was it enough? No, it wasn't. So they keep 5th. But that could have been actually, again, really good for Germany. But Ireland still manages a 1-4-5. So that's going to be a slight win for Ireland in that one.
Yeah, slight win for Ireland. And Mystery, though, making the difference there, holding on to first. He was one of the Shroomers at second set who came up after Shock. Definitely was behind Shock when it was used. So really interesting Shock there from Ireland, but it works out quite well for them. Getting Saga, if he... And, you know, the timing on that would have been difficult because, again, Owen was in first. But if Owen managed to call it in first and TS Saga off as well, that would have been an even bigger potential race for them going into lap 3 there. But overall, very solid Pretty unconventional shock usage, but very solid nonetheless from Ireland there. As now we go into our next track. Looks like Rainbow Road being opted for by Ireland and is going to get picked here. A track we've seen plenty of. Normally towards the end of Wars, though, but this is going to be Rainbow Road here on, I believe this is race... I can't read it, read it on the... It's 8, yeah. Couldn't quite read it on the preview, my fault, but yeah, race 8 here.
Yeah, and so far, just... again, this is 2 races in a row with a ghost being pulled from first set, I think, from Loser. But unfortunately, getting it into the back and getting those triple shrooms is going to help a little bit catch up here. But this track is so long, it doesn't really necessarily matter how you start, especially since there's probably going to be a shock in play at some point. So you have to constantly watch out for it. And having a mushroom here is going to at least put themselves in a better position than they once were, but at the same time, I wouldn't be surprised if they just opt to use it right away, just trying to get something, even anything better, and they do, and they're going to pull another mushroom and a boomerang, and having a boomerang in a mid spot is interesting. They're going to actually opt to spam it, and they do see one of Germany's players in front, and unfortunately, I think it missed, but just going to opt to just play in the mid-pack as much as possible.
Looser with these triple reds, throwing them in the glider here. And again, our screen share is still a little bit blurry, so can't read out exact names, but he does read at least one Germany player there. As Looser now, once again, in a low spot, going to opt to bag for a bit and get those items he needs to catch up. Or potentially pull shock, as I don't believe it's in play just yet. And Rainbow Road, we saw it in the very last match we saw, France vs. Calendombria. It can occur twice, if not 3 times on this track due to the length. So we'll have to see, though. No dice so far, though, for Looser. Mega golden pull for him here, as I think he's going to start rotating with his team. And it appears a decent amount of Ireland are in the back at the moment. But again, definitely still anyone's game with over 2 minutes left of the track to go.
Yeah, and this section is long coming up. I actually like the strategy of Loser opting to just wait at the item set, pulling a golden, going to catch up a lot more, but they're only going to just stay in 11th, but they have good positioning, and at least in being towards, or at least closer to the front, their positioning is great. They can just use the start now, and they are, and they're going to pull a Mega and a Bill, just constantly using these power items to help themselves get back into the front, especially with how long this track is. You want to just opt to wait for your moment to get back to the front before it's too late. And this strategy right now from Looser is, at least at this point, paying off, but they're going to have to use the Mega a little bit earlier than they wanted to, but it's going to at least set themselves up from a better item pull coming up, entering this very important section right before the turn skip.
Really good pull as well underneath. He now has Bill Mega for this ending here. He can remain invincible for the rest of the race after the Nisk coming up here. But like I said, still a decent amount of Ireland in the back. As, yeah, switching to Saga here, they do at least hold 2-3, if not top 3 at the moment. Ghost for Saga being used, and there's a shock coming in. Probably a Germany shock, as Jojo is still also able to make the cut, and Saga behind him. Very nicely done there from them, as now Saga pretty much guaranteed first at this point, but Looser also dodging, threatening right now. And Mystery with this horn, if he can get Saga out of the Ghost with the horn, he has to time it carefully, but I just don't think it's going to work out. As Mystery, I believe, Okay, actually, a decent amount of people managed to shroom up at the very end, so Looser drops all the way to 7th with Saga holding on the first. And look at this, he desperately needed to. 2, 3, 4 at the very end for Ireland. Despite what, again, what I believe to be a Germany shock, Ireland salvaging quite well off of it, particularly Looser. And again, breaking away slowly but surely in the lead going into this final GP.
Yeah, being up 48 in this scenario is definitely a great position for Ireland. And they need to build off of this performance, especially going into match number 2. And I feel like the big takeaways from Germany at the end of this match, if they are unable to come back, it's just the tracks that Ireland are good at. Let's try to just avoid those as much as possible. Pick something that you wouldn't expect, but we are going to see a Cheap Falls and a Shy Guy Bazaar at least being picked from both sides. But we are going to go to Cheap Falls, and that was actually, I think it was Germany's pick, excuse me. And it's going to help them a little bit with first. And let's see what they can do to really build off of anything.
Saga starting in first here, a very solid position for him. Looser starting in 7th. Going into the first set here, again, the triple shroom pulls on this set are going to be crucial as Looser does pull them, and Saga as well, so both of our POVs getting into the front very quickly here. As Saga trying to get his coin count up, he has 5. Is he still going to go for Tarzan? He is on 5 coins. It is doable, but quite risky, as it's barely the number you need, and he is going to make it quite nicely here. And again, with these shrooms in first, he is in a very strong position to break away early, as now one shroom going to be burned in this shortcut, and unfortunately no protection after, but still in a very nice spot regardless. Looser, on the other hand, with those triple reds in the pack, off screen at the moment, but Saga doing a really nice job at the moment, and I think with a decent amount of Germany behind him.
Yeah, and unfortunately for Saga, just messing up the alignment for Tarzan and unfortunately getting hammered as a result. But I think they are still in top 3. We do see Cloud up there. We do see another German player as well. But we also are going to go back to Looser here in 9th, 10th at the moment. And having this Mega going to help at least make that shortcut and try to get themselves back into the front potentially. But they need more coins if they want to go for Tarzan, as you said. 5 is the minimum requirement for going for Tarzan, at least in a situation where it is applicable to go for it. But we're going to see actually Looser going to just use this golden and go around. And this strategy pays off for one reason or another. Potentially shock, but we also do see, I think Germany is in at least top 4, maybe top 3 potentially, but the bananas are going to be pulled as well. And such a great race. I think Germany really paid off from that one.
Yeah, this could be the race that Germany needed here. And yeah, top 3, 5, 9, 10. A very solid race there for them. And even though Saga not able to hold up the front due to that Tarzan, his team fully supporting him there, as now they are within one race of getting back into the lead here. And yeah, just overall really nicely played from, again, Germany in those top spots. And again, this could be a potential shift in momentum for them, as one really strong race can get them back in the lead here. We'll have to see what they opt for. It's going to be, yep, so now Sky High coming in on the side of Germany. This is, again, their opportunity to pick it when they're starting with all of their top spots. As, yeah, someone asking in the chat, what is the bare minimum you need of coins for the Tarzan? And it actually might be 4. I could be wrong. I may have... I'm actually remembering maybe I've done it before with 4, but 4 would definitely be the bare minimum if not 5. So very impressive from Saga to pull that off from first.
Yeah, and very impressive race for Germany just as a whole, just able to get that top prices. But we are going to dry bones burnout, and early on here we see Looser having triple mushrooms and triple greens. I like this in the mid spot because obviously playing aggressive, but getting hit off potentially, but having the shroom to recover is very effective. At least going to save a little bit of time, but Mega and Golden is the bull in the back. They're just going to opt to really try to catch up as early as possible, or actually just stay in the back, but they're actually going to try to make up their mind and catch up here, put themselves in 8th, entering lap 2.
Yeah, Looser, once again, I believe this is maybe the 4th or 5th race now we've seen where he starts off in a solid spot, gets hit down, and then immediately starts bagging on the first set of lap 1. A very common strategy, but in particular for Looser, it's working out quite well for him across these races, as now he is back in 5th, taking a red shell, but still able to secure a double box, and he's actually going to drop down once again, pulls the box in 9th, and a quite solid pull here, Star Golden for him. As now looking at the pack, a player from Team Germany, I believe that's Cavino, I believe on the Baby Mario, broken away in 1, but we do see Saga holding on to the shock right now, using it very early into lap 3. Very interesting strategy here, as while this can benefit, especially Cavino holding on to first right now, this does offer Ireland a lot of opportunity to catch up.
Yeah, especially having a star here for Saga, it's going to be interesting, especially if a shock is pulled at least in the back. But at this point, you have to think it's used now, and it is. And triple mushrooms with a boomerang. But we also see Looser losing a couple spots at the end. But we also see, I think it's a 1-4 again for Germany. 1-4-5 potentially for Germany. So again, another slightly winning race on a track they didn't even pick. It would, 1, 4, 5, 7, 10, 11. So Germany, once again, getting a small win. But is it too little too late? Can Germany get these big races at 11 and 12 to complete the comeback?
Yeah, to finish the job, they need a bit more here, but a solid race nonetheless, although you have to wonder, was the shock used too early for Germany there? Again, it gave most of Ireland 2, if not all 3 sets on lap 3 to catch up, and it did give Ireland 2-3, but, you know, potentially Germany opting to play it safe. They know they have some time to make up this difference, and holding on to first maybe was something they valued more in that particular moment, as, again, Cavino so gone in 1, holding down first for his team. As we are now going into Shy Guy Bazaar here. Very interesting pick. Cavino, again, very solid runner. We'll see if he can hold on to first, despite several Ireland players behind him. As we do see Saga himself doing a very nice job, and yeah, Cavino holds on to first very easily here. Well played from him, as now him and Saga are spaced. Ollie, though, kind of threatening, and yeah, kind of scaring Saga there. Gonna opt to play it safe, as Ollie does go for it behind him, though, and the feather pull is huge, and this is a top 4 for Germany right off the bat. This is exactly what they need.
Now the question is, can they hold on to that top 4? But as I say it,
Oof.
Saga getting hit off there, and that's going to make them lose a little bit of time. And Looser with these triple shrooms and a coin shell pull. I actually like that in this situation, but yeah, just getting hit out there is just going to lose a little bit more time. And just going to actually, both our Peter B's now are going to be in a bottom position with Looser having the golden and triple mushrooms. Actually, both players have the exact same items in the bag. So you have to wonder, is there a shot potentially going to be pulled? But we do see the Mega coming up from Saga and having a Bill as well, it's going to put them into perspective. But we also see a Germany top two, and at this point, I think it's Ireland right now in those mid spots, but now it's looking like Germany is breaking into those mid spots even more, and that top two from Germany is getting more and more separated from the rest of the pack. So you have to wonder, can Ireland break into that entering this last corner? A Mega is going to help, but with no shock on the horizon, will it be enough? I think 3, 4, 5 at this point for Ireland, and yeah, just holding on to that. And oh, but the shot coming in late, and I think it's a top 3 actually for Germany. I think someone snuck in there late.
Yeah, I believe that was Reyes dodging on the line and getting top 3, 7. Bottom 2 hurts a little bit, but it's still a winning race regardless for Germany here. And once again, Cavino breaking away with the support of Jojo, current world record holder on the track. Ireland stood no chance there without shock with those two in the front. A really solid race for Germany here. Going to the last race, they are set up quite well to win the war on this last race. It's very doable for them. They have the momentum. They have really strong starting spots. This is Ireland's to lose right now.
Yeah, and if you're Germany, you just have to finish. You have to finish what you started, and this is the closest war, at least I've seen so far in this World Cup going into this last race. And again, it's really Ireland's to lose, and more so Germany to complete the comeback. And Salty Speedway, Germany's pick. This is exactly the type of track they were looking for to break into those top spots and try to steal this one.
We have seen Ireland perform really well on this track in the past, so it is definitely within their realm to hold on to the lead, but we'll have to see. It's really going to come down to this beginning. How many of these top 3 spots from Germany can pull the triple mushrooms, as we do see Looser going for a lower spot box here. Triple shrooms is nice. We do see as well Mystery with triple shrooms as well, and another Ireland member behind. So Ireland have the shrooms to break in early, but we'll have to see. Unfortunately, Looser's getting stolen, though. That is quite unfortunate for Ireland, as he once again will take on the bagging role for, again, like the 7th or 8th race at this point, starting off or ending off lap 1 in the back here for his team. Billing up early, not pulling the shock just yet, but we do see Ireland actually managing to take first now. And that's quite big. Again, they don't need a big winning race at all. They just need to hold on to the lead, any lead, for this last race.
Yeah, and at this point, you, again, just have to hold on to first. And I actually like Looser's strategy, trying to at least pull a great item, and having a Mega actually in hand is going to help a little bit with the catch-up potential. And we also do see, at this point, I think Ray is in last, and Saga's in 10th. So Ireland have actually set themselves up really well here to sort of maintain this win, potentially. And a bill pull as well is going to help Looser being able to catch up here when it matters. But also, on our other POV, Saga having a bill as well, going to the top path and catching all the way back up. This pack, all of a sudden, this got interesting.
This pack is really close now, yeah. Going into the final lap, if Looser can hold on to this mushroom and take the cut, but we also see Saga with a shroom in front of him in 3rd. He makes the rail. If he can hold on to this, this is huge. As Mystery goes around, this is a top... Oh no, Mystery holds. Mystery holds 2nd. That's quite big for them, but I think this is a 1-3-4 for Germany, and I think this is enough. Oh my gosh, it's actually so close. They get 9 bottom 2 as well. Actually, I don't think that's enough after all. I think Ireland holds the lead.
I think it's barely. I think you're right, and I think it's barely. It's a 12-point win for Ireland, just barely being able to hold on there. And honestly, such a great comeback from Germany. I think they're going to use this momentum entering match 2 and rethink their strategy just a little bit. They had the momentum, towards the end of that war. Now they have to force a match three. They have to win this next 12 races.
Yeah, really, really strong performance there from Team Ireland. Really close to letting it slip away on the last race. It was way too close for comfort, in all honesty. As going into lap three, Ireland did unfortunately lose first. They held it for a little bit, but Jojo taking up that role. But solid top spots, but unfortunately just not enough for Germany here. And keeping it really close in the end. It was looking quite dire, especially in the middle part of the war for Germany, but managing to hold on is Ireland. Really solid performance from them. Uh, and that leaves Ireland undefeated in the World Cup. They went 3-0 in their group. Uh, so remaining undefeated so far against such a titan as Germany here. And now going into War 2, like you said, Germany, we do know they are making lineup changes, which we will talk about later on, but um, after our break here. But um, we'll have to see if those players can make the difference here, as I believe Ireland is holding this lineup for the next match as well. But we are going to take a bit of a break here. I am going to check really quickly what the plan is for the next match. Yes, so they are opening 05, which means we are able to take a decent break here going into the next match. But yeah, don't go anywhere. We will be right back with some more World Cup action in about 5-ish minutes. So don't go anywhere.
We are back with match 2 of Germany and Ireland. My name is Ginger, joined again by Mitch, and we have our lineups here for match 2. Germany going with Jojo, Cavino, Lazard, who I don't think played in the first one. Maybe they did. Ali, Saga, and Spidey, someone who I don't think played in the first match either. So yeah, Germany going for a little bit of a switch. Again, I like that strategy, trying to change things up. And honestly, at this point, you just have to build off of the momentum that you had in the last one and try to get yourselves to force a match 3.
Yeah, so yes, so you were correct. Lazard and Spetty subbing in for Ray and Cloud here, and some changes. Honestly, I agree with Lazard showing up very strong last week, uh, particularly in the match against England that we casted, and then Spetty having a really strong performance against Japan as well. That's not a match that we got to cast, but Spetty in that winning lineup that beat Japan last week. So very solid substitutions, I would say here. Um, and again, with the momentum that players like Cavino and Jojo have off of last match, I think Germany making the right call here, personally, um, with these substitutions. So looking forward to see them bounce back from what ended up being a really close match. Even with their struggles last match, they ended up making it quite close towards the end. So these two players, I think, could be the potential edge that pushes this team to game 3 here. As we switch over to Ireland here, their lineup is the same from last match. Again, we had an error on the graphic for match 1, but Keelan is playing all matches now. So, and we saw standout performances from him in particular, also from Looser, having a really solid strategy. Like I mentioned in the last war, where starting off, at the end of lap 1, start of lap 2, in the back and catching up late, really working out quite well for him um, in that match in particular. So we'll have to see if they can continue with this strategy going into the next match.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if Ireland can win once again. You talked about the changes in the lineup here, and for Germany specifically, and Lazard and Spidey coming in now. I think it's going to be important for those two to really step up and show off what they have got in terms of skills, because at this point, you got to force a match 3. You want to be the ones that take down Ireland, who have been undefeated this entire World Cup. And in order to do that, you just have to string some good races, especially down the stretch. And I think they can do it. They are very much capable of forcing a match 3. Now, can they do it, though, is the question that it has to be answered.
Yeah, for sure. Like we've said, both teams very capable of it here. As we do see the room open now, they did open a little bit late, so we'll have a little bit more downtime here. As do want to mention as well, on potential or other matches that have occurred, USA coming out with a 2-0 over Austria, so they will be moving on and playing against Italy. And looking at potential scheduling, it appears that match will happen tomorrow. So that is one of our matches we will see in the quarterfinals tomorrow. And Spain coming out on top against Brazil in a dominant fashion at that. And they will be playing against England. That match still to be determined when that will be played. Probably not tomorrow, though, from what I'm understanding. So, again, make sure you're in the Discord. We will post when we know more about those scheduling or when those matches will be scheduled. As now there are 2 matches remaining here. This one that we are currently watching, and then Canada versus Asia, which is happening later on tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern. So, very solid round of 16, all things considering. I think a lot of, there were a decent amount of blowouts, but a lot of close matches, particularly that England-Australia match we saw this morning going to a game 3, with Australia putting on such a strong performance. Definitely one of their, if not their best, Mario Kart World Cup. On the 8 Deluxe / Wii side of things, World side of things, I know they've had a pretty solid showing on Wii in the past.
Yeah, and honestly, it's going to be very interesting to see the different track picks, honestly. I'm more interested in the track picks being selected by both of these teams. We did see some very interesting ones, DK Pass in particular, Whistle Stop, just those type of tracks like that being picked. I feel like both of these teams know what the tracks are going to be selected in terms of like from both teams, because you can pick the same tracks again now. Like that pool is completely reset. So that's going to be something to note as well in this best of 3 format.
Yeah, as we are seeing the room start here, as it looks like Looser is our host, so we do see him starting the room now on his POV. And yeah, very anxious to see how this one goes. Both teams very capable, very closely matched as we saw in the last war, so we'll have to see what ends up happening here. As Germany, once again, going for that Desert Hills track we saw them play last war, and if I remember correctly, they did win the race, albeit by a very narrow margin, but track that they are comfortable on nonetheless, and that is going to be our opening track here.
Yeah, and going to a track like Desert Hills, honestly, I like this strategy a lot, and it worked out, I believe, for Ireland in our first war, and I think that it could honestly work out for either team, but you have to consider the first box triple mushrooms, the 1.7 update. It's gonna actually benefit Looser in the front, but we do see Saga in the back actually gonna just opt to bag and try to get some better items here and put themselves in a great position, but only pulling 4 mushrooms is not the type of start you really need to catch up, but at the same time, it is Desert Hills, so you can easily catch up really at any point and sort of play around that.
Yeah, so Saga, unfortunately not getting the item he wanted on first set, so taking up the bagging role for his team now. Trying to troll D-Man with the Mega, but he will get that bill off in time. But forcing it to use it early here is a solid consolation, as now he has that golden for the big cut here. Switching over to Looser, he is going for the cut on the wall, and will do it quite well here, as he does have, I believe, yes, that is an Ireland member in front of him. So this is a top 3 even now for Ireland going into the second set here. But with, again, the pack being very close, there is the potential for Germany to make a lot of catch-up here with those power items. Looser lining up for the cut, but not quite confident in making it, so going to go around. He's going to lose a lot of spots off of that. But no, Shock coming in late for what I can only believe to be Ireland, and Looser's going to gain all of those spots back in an instant. That's 4th place.
What a prediction going around. It was probably an Ireland Shock, but what a great race. Top 2, 4, 5 for Ireland. Honestly, going around there, I think if you were Germany, you would probably suspecting something was up if you were to see that, but probably not enough time to really react to that. So that's why Ireland was able to pay off from it so much with a top 2, 4, 5 and put themselves up 18 early. A great start again. This happened in match 1. Can they get more of a lead this time and really make it so it's even harder for Germany to catch up?
And that was guaranteed going to be a Germany winning race there. I mean, so many of them were target shocked in that grass or before it with mushrooms, as again, Looser went from 3rd to 10th back to 4th in the span of 10 seconds. What an insane swing off of that late shock there. And now they get their track pick here. Whistle stop. Actually, wait, no, never mind. This was Germany's. My fault. As Germany coming in with a counter pick here at this point. And they do have, well, they do have sixth. So, and I believe that's JoJo on the Biddy Bud there. So, sixth being a very solid starting spot as you can steer instantly to the left here and get on that fast rail. Saga trying to do the same thing, but he was not in a favorable starting position, so he does get bumped off. Very risky strat, not paying off, unfortunately for him, as now he is starting in the back. Looser, though, I am a bit, you know, thrown around here. I didn't realize we were actually watching Looser this whole time, but he is now in third place, and he as well getting bumped off a crucial rail on lap 1. That is quite unfortunate. Both our POVs not off to the best start here, as now we switch to Saga, making the mist. He is going to keep himself in competition here. Coin shell being thrown up, Mystery avoiding though by going onto the wall, and that's a decent amount of Germany in the tops right now. I believe that is top 2-4 right now. Mystery threatening with this ring though, not going to land. But Saga gonna shroom up, actually opting to go around here, but building that breakaway, and yeah, I think that's Cavino once again. Yes, it is, in first place, showing his time trial prowess right now.
Yeah, and I like the positioning from Saga here. Probably gonna, I'm actually gonna hold on to it. I actually like that a little bit more than I would have expected. I think that is one of Ireland's members, actually one of Ireland's members getting hit out there with the bomb, so great utilization of that bomb from Saga in that situation where it was needed, and just the shot coming into play, and that's going to get Cavino on the cut, but the feather going to come out, and both Saga and Cavino getting hit out, and now Ireland has gotten themselves into first. We see Looser now with a bill being used, and the triple mushrooms as well. But Ali having this golden is going to make it so Germany keeps their presence, especially with that gold shell being it as well, and being back to the line. I think Germany made something out of nothing there, and I think that might have been a top 4, maybe a top 5 even.
There is, you know, if you told me that Looser was getting 11th there after shock, I would have never believed you. In a top 5 for Germany off of Ireland's, what you can only assume to be Ireland's shock. What an insane race. I just don't think I've seen anything like that before. What a interesting turnaround there. Looser taking so many hits back to back to back, gold shell into green shell back on the line, and he was the saving grace for Ireland there, building up with those triple shrooms and just not working out for him in the end. And Saga as well. I am very perplexed by that play. He just had barely grown in time to hit that feather and was just never going to have the distance to make it over that rail or make it over the U-turn with the ground feather. I'm just very, you know, I'm really not sure about that play, but it ends up working out for Germany huge there. What a response from them on this race 2 here.
Yeah, especially with Rainbow Road now being selected, that's going to benefit Germany even more and try to get themselves to have a bigger lead, especially with race 3, and with them being up at this point, the scores have to be updated, but they are winning. Germany has put themselves back into the front here, and just at this point, Germany has to be thinking, we need to keep getting these good races. We're too talented to lose, and they hope to build off of that going into Rainbow Road.
Yeah, 2 very solid performances from both teams so far on race 1 and 2, and now going into Rainbow Road. Is this an equalizer, bringing Ireland back into it, or can Germany maintain a lead? We'll have to see on this 4-minute marathon of a track here. Looser with triple shrooms at the start. Greens in pocket could also potentially be damaging here. But again, gonna opt to hold these for a pretty long while if I were to guess. But another green back. Looser taking the brunt of so many green shells so far. As now forced to burn. May go for the snipe on JoJo. He gets it. but he does have shrooms, so he'll recover quite quickly, as now Loser once again going for these bottom boxes. Golden will get him back into the front very easily. He will most likely opt to use it in this glider, yeah, and potentially even maintain the glider. Actually, he's going to end it early, so he is going to take the bagging role for his team at the middle section of lap 2 here.
And it's important to have players in those roles, and it constantly fluctuates between players within these matches. And at this point, Loser is just trying to pull the shot, but instead going to pull a bill, and instead actually going to use it now to put themselves, at least at this point, in a position to still pull something very powerful, but instead just going to fall off the track and try to just fall back a little bit more. But Owen is back there as well, and the blue shell is in play, and it is, I believe it's going to hit one of Ireland's members, so that's something to note. And we see now Saga in 5th, just gonna not pull an item, and these triple reds are going to be deadly for their campaign.
Yeah, so Saga falling back now with Jojo and Lazard as well in the back. This is a very interesting shift that has occurred in this lap 3 here, as now it does look like Cavino once again holding on to first for Germany, but a decent amount of Ireland behind him. It's very unlikely he can hold on to that unless he has the right items, as now Saga going to roll 1 box in 11th here, potentially going for that shock. But it may be a little too early, but he does pull Golden, and Ireland very far in the back, very curious. Nah, he had a bill, so no shock in play at the moment, as now we do see Saga get up to 8th with this Golden. Not the best. It would, honestly would have preferred to have the bill in pocket for this ending, as we all know the power of the bill after the Nisk here. And yeah, only a shroom now at this point. Saga in quite a vulnerable position, especially if he does not make the Nisk here. But he is in 5th place. Lazard catching up as well. He is in front of him too, but he has to be careful of these triple greens. Yeah, he's going to play it safe. Use that ghost to make him invulnerable over the cut. Lining up for the glider version, and he is going to make it over. Very nicely done. But D-Man hitting him out afterwards. He's going to lose a spot, and he's ranged off the track. That's a huge swing for Ireland at the end of the race here, as Saga is almost certainly getting a bottom 2 spot now. But Cavino still holding on in first, but there actually is a decent amount of Ireland in the back all of a sudden. What a very mixed race. I actually don't know how that ended up.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it ended up indeed, but a top 3, 6, 8, 12
Wow.
for Germany. And again, another great race, and it's going to put themselves now up, I believe that's 34 points now they're going to be up by. So it's a great race. Honestly, a great race for Germany once again.
Yeah, and the power of the momentum from that hit carrying Saga off the track. Really unfortunate for him. As yeah, when you get hit from certain items, your bike or your cart, whatever you're using, it swerves in very odd directions, and that unfortunately was the end of Saga's race, as he also respawned after the set. Very tragic for him, but I mean, I've said his name so many times already this series, but Cavino putting on the performance of his life right now, running so many tracks. Spetty also with support. Very interesting to see, and those substitutes we talked about coming into the match for lap 2 really showing up so far for Germany, making the difference here, as they have a very solid lead going into race 4 now. Cheap Cheap Falls, a track where we've seen very, very huge races that have swung the entire tide of wars. So very interested to see how this one plays out as well.
Yeah, and right now we see Saga using that star and having those triple mushrooms for the ending shortcut once again. Just gonna just opt to use one of those now, and we actually see, I believe that's an Ireland member actually getting up into first, but Germany is all right behind them, and they are once again in great positioning here with Looser in sixth.
So we do see Saga, unfortunately, once again getting hit out in the back, but we do see Cavino and Jojo up there, and Ollie for Germany, so holding on to a decent amount of top spots. Owen from behind goldening up, and there's actually another Irish member back there, so Shark potentially in play. Owen squishing Lazard there before the cut, that's going to put him back a decent bit, but Ireland, they need an answer for these top spots. They are letting Germany just run these races very strongly here. As now Saga pulling that bill with a golden in pocket. This is huge if there's no shock for him.
It really is, and the positioning could not be any better with this golden. They're going to use it right now, and they're going to actually be able to... Oh, but they get hit out, but I don't think it's going to matter as much. Because right now, Cavino holding on to first. Jojo gonna probably hold on to third. And again, a great race for Germany.
Yeah, top three at the very least for them. We do see Ollie in the back, and yeah, it's actually going to be a 9-10-12. So a winning race for Germany, but not by all too much. But I mean, Cavino, he is locked in. This guy is just running away. I think he held first the entire race. I just don't think there was any point where he didn't hold it. Just running away with it right now. Showing up huge for his team. Definitely a standout performance from him. So if that continues, I just don't, I don't know what Ireland can do about it. They really need an answer. Potentially playing more aggressive on lap one, trying to get those aggressive items to hit them out. We saw a decent amount of shocks from them last war, but not much coming into fruition in this war, and they really need to muscle their way into the front at some point here, as it is starting to look grim.
Yeah, but we are going to go to Salty Speedway, and that's a race where it was the last race in the last war, and we're seeing it now, race 5, and Ireland was barely able to hold on in that one, but now it's a much different situation with Germany up by 42, and now it's going to just have to be actually Ireland now coming from behind because of such a great start from Germany. Basically, the roles have reversed, and now Looser getting hit out, and gonna probably just play this from the back. Positioning isn't bad, but they need to stay in the mid-pack for as long as necessary.
Looser with a ticket into the front once again. He has these shrooms, trying to use them aggressively, and I like this play as once again, and oh, a nice hit onto Ollie. So now suddenly Ireland back in 2-3, and within close distance to first as well. This could potentially be their ticket back into the race here, as Looser in particular has another shroom for the cut, can make up even more time here, but Owen was backed off of the rail, and a shock coming in, presumably Germany, as Ollie dodges high with a ghost, and now, yeah, Looser without the shroom, he cannot take cut anymore, and back in a top 2 breakaway is Germany here, Cavino and Ollie at the moment, but there is still time, an entire lap even, for Ireland to make up the difference.
But based on Cavino's dominant performance so far, it's going to be incredibly difficult for Ireland to break into those top spots. We do see a horn being used, and I think it might have done, unfortunately, a little bit more harm for Ireland because Looser pulling fire in the back, and Saga now having a Shroom in third, but Mystery is going to get second, so that's at least going to help manage the damage. But again, such a great race from Germany. I think that's a 1-3-4 or a 1-3-7-8-9. So not as good as I expected, but still a great race and probably pretty even in terms of that. So yeah, pretty even. I think it was tied actually.
Solid salvage there from Ireland, yeah, off of a Germany shock. And, you know, we saw this last war too. The shock gave, the shock being early, you know, in the short term really benefited, Germany, excuse me, but gave Ireland a decent amount of potential to come back, especially on a track with as much potential as Salty with the ending cut. That alone just gives so much opportunity for a comeback, even on lap 3. And so Ireland capitalized on that pretty well as we now go into Bowser's Castle here. Some pretty mixed spots up in the front, but this is the opportunity for Ireland in these 4, 5, 6 spots to push their way into the front early on. And Mystery as well in second.
Yeah, and to push into the front, they need things to go their way. And right now, Germany, actually, we see D-Man actually in first, holding on to some mushrooms, but Saga is up there as well with mushrooms and a coin shell, going to help with getting up to speed and nailing that Nisk to perfection. And at this point, if you're Saga, you just have to stay in the front, play around those items, play around those mid-pack items, and find a way to get back in the first and extend this lead.
Yeah, very interesting start for Saga there. He got bumped off the rail, but made the charge jump as a backup and immediately got back into second. And we now see him take over first here as that charge jump strat is faster than the rail. So Saga able to catch out D-Man here for first place. And looking at the pack, this pack is so split. Wow, insane hammers coming in from D-Man. What a play, as now D-Man broken away in first, but the blue shell coming in instantly. That is going to, for sure, hit D-Man, as there's no way he has shroomed up there. Yeah, so hit off the glider. Still holding on to first, but Lazard pulling ice, and that gets D-Man off the track. What an insane play there. And now 1-3 once again for Germany. And a pretty decent split from the rest of the pack. It's on Killian now to hold on to the second place.
But it is harder said than done. The bomb coming out, not going to take care of Saga. But they do have themselves set up well, at least at this point. Going to go for the Nisk. But, oh, what a great banana placement. But also, what a great use of the feather. But it really didn't do much when it all came down to it. And now, Looser coming up with a golden, having those shrooms in the back pocket. Going to be helpful in this last corner, but can they pull anything else? They're just going to pull another shroom, and it won't be enough to really salvage much else. But I think Ireland might have gotten first. I can't really tell, but it's probably a better race for Ireland at this point. I think Germany might have gotten bottom 2. And it is a 1-3-6-7-8, so a better race for Ireland, and honestly something that they needed to break into those top spots.
Killian with an insane performance on that lap 3, backing Saga off of the Nisk and then managing to get first, but probably off of a second place Shroom, but a really much needed first place for Ireland there. And a winning race for them at that, as now they do bring this closer. A solid start. If you are an Ireland fan, this is the start to a solid comeback for them in the second half of the war now. And, you know, yeah, D-Man, Killian doing really nice job in the front. Both playing their role quite well. And now going into the next track here, Ireland hoping to make something from that race and keep the momentum going here for this catch-up, as we do see Crown City coming in. Haven't seen this track yet in this best of three. And, a track with some very... has one of the most volatile shock spots in the entire game.
It definitely is volatile. In that, honestly, positions can constantly change. And as you said, the shock being used, you have to think that, especially at the end of the race, it's really going to be devastating whoever is affected by it. But meanwhile, having a shroom is looser, but getting trailed out there, you're just going to go around and just hope for something better to get back into those front positions. Because at this point, having a Bill and a Mega is probably something that you want, especially with the pack being so close. The Bill probably going to be utilized now, and it is. Then they're going to be able to catch up quite quickly, although that Bill is probably going to end quicker than they wanted to, and it will.
But a Mega in 6 is quite good for him. If he does have to play a pretty risky game there and hold this if he can, unless he finds a good opportunity to hit out a lot of Germany members, as we do see at least one of them in front of him, that is Spetty on the Toadette. And again, our POV is a little bit pixelated, so can't quite tell. We do see Saga on in first place at the moment, and Ollie behind him. I think this is a top 3 or top 4 right now for Germany, but it is not safe by any means, again, with the shock spot coming up after the next set for Saga here. If he's able to take this shroom through the cut, though, that is quite big for him, as we do see there's an Irish player in the back building up. All of those Irish players presumably having either a dodge or shrooms for this cut, as we do see Saga shroom up here, going to increase his lead by even more. And that's Cavino shrooming up behind him. This is a really good look for Germany going into the line, as now taking this Nisk quite well here, going into the line with no shock in sight. This is another big race. Okay, shock coming in last second, but it does not do anything to these top spots. Top 2 at the very least held on by Germany, and probably even more.
It could have been a situation, actually, as it is a 1-4-5 for Germany.
Oh, okay.
Again, getting a winning race, but it could have actually been a Germany shock. I think in that situation, we did see 2 Ireland members actually Mega in the cut before the last cut. So it could have been a situation where they either just pulled it or had it entering that last item set before the Megas were activated. But again, such great situational awareness from Germany in that situation.
Yeah, so not sure what happened to Cavino. I think he still got 4th, but maybe just 2 Ireland members shrooming up at the end to salvage that 2-3, but they desperately needed that salvage. That was looking really, really strong for Germany going to the line. But ended up being a pretty even race, all things considered. But, even races, they're just not enough. If you are Ireland here, you need to get a big race now, as we are entering the final GP of the war. They need to start covering some more ground here with these bigger races, as we now enter Acorn Heights, which is a track that I'm trying to remember last war. I think that ended up going quite well in the end for Ireland, but with Germany holding on to a lot of tops despite that throughout the race. I think they had a good shock, if I remember right. Maybe I'm misremembering, but we'll have to see what happens here. Saga, not the best start here. He is going to be starting from the back, but meanwhile, Looser having a really strong start. He is in first. I believe he pulled at least one shroom on the first set, so now with triple nanas, he can do a lot of work here if Germany ends up behind him on these rails.
Yeah, and having triple defense is so helpful, especially as you said, approaching these rails. But instead, these are going to actually go around with Mystery retaking first and the blue coming out. But that is the perfect strategy. Looser went around the rails so they can allow their teammate to get in the first and to dodge the blue shell with a mushroom. Such great situational awareness and only losing a couple spots and having hammers as well. Such a great situation for Looser at this point. Just going to honestly just opt to throw them away. And again, it's just right now you have to, if you're Ireland, you have to take care of those two players. But unfortunately for Looser, the great plays have costed them precious position.
Yeah, doing a very interesting alternate entrance to that Nisk, but unfortunately not getting the air needed to get onto the wall, so he drops back quite a bit, but that is Mystery holding on to first still right now for Ireland. That's exactly what they need here. Going into the last set, a decent amount of Germany in the back as well, but Bill's coming in for them. Not going to affect Looser all that much, but if there's a shock here, this could be huge. And as I say it, there it is. Ireland shock coming in, cancels the blue onto Mystery. We'll have to see if he can hold on to a decent spot here, as Spetty is up on the rail, and he is actually going to get first off of that. But a 2-3, maybe 4 for Ireland there, as we do see also like 9, 10, 12 potentially for Germany. This could be the swing they needed. Yeah, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7 here for Ireland, and that brings them back within striking distance.
Yeah, and honestly, it was much needed from Ireland. They needed a race like that. But I think if they got first, it would have been even better. It kind of was like almost a missed opportunity or so for Ireland there to take advantage. And I felt like if they got first, it would have been a lot closer. It's still close. It's now, I believe, 32 points, if I'm not mistaken. So definitely winnable still for Ireland, but it's a situation that the roles have basically reversed. Germany has had a lead now for this entire match, and Ireland is now playing from behind, unlike match 1 when it was the opposite way. So it'll be interesting to see how Ireland handles that pressure.
We've seen Ireland in the position before with momentum from the prior race, and we do see GBR coming in. This is the first time we have seen GBR, I think, at all today in general. Out of the 4 matches we casted, maybe we saw it in Spain, Brazil. I wasn't. Obviously, I was casting during this the second match of that war, so didn't quite see that, but. Potentially the first time we've seen GBR today, a track that has fallen out of popularity in recent times, especially, with the update. But I do think, personally, it has the potential to rival that of, like, Sky High or Bowser's Castle in being a track that heavily benefits, players in top spots pulling shrooms on the first set, as we do see Looser with exactly that, triple shrooms in 5th. Going for the wall strat, really insane, what appears to be insane driving lines on this track. And they are really cool to see here, as this is a top 3 right now for Ireland. Owen in first place with his own shroom as well. This has the potential to be really good for Ireland without, barring shock or blue.
And also, they are actually one of the 2 members in bottom 2, so the positioning is great. Now, if they can hold on to it is another question. And having those mushrooms help, but unfortunately, it gets stolen, and it's going to have to be the wall cut, actually, there for Looser, but it still actually is going to be okay because they maintain 3rd. but they need to pull something great here because we know for a fact Ali is coming up with a golden and is going to be past at least 2 players, maybe more. So it's going to have to be, and we do also see JoJo coming up as well.
JoJo and Omega potentially predicting shock here, as certainly not in play, or it would have been used there by Germany, as, yeah, JoJo and Ollie being the 2 players to make something happen for Germany going to lap 3. Rang being used, and that unfortunately removes Looser's ability to cut and shroom on the glider, as we do see Saga come up with a bill. And I think this is a really strong salvage from Germany after that dominant run from Ireland. We'll have to see. I think Ireland actually keep first there. Yeah, no, 1-3-4 even. So Lazard, I think, coming up from the shock as well, but it's just not enough, as that's a very solid winning race for Ireland here. And slowly but surely creeping their way back into contention.
I believe now it's 22 points is the difference. So it is definitely a similar situation. I feel like I'm getting a flashback from the last match. It's the same type of momentum swing happening here. But the question that I have is Sky High being picked does not surprise me at all. Ireland in their preliminary matches have done extremely well with Sky High. Now they need it here to keep building that momentum, and they're going to get it.
The infamous or famous, depending on the way you look at it, Sky High Sunday pick coming in now, and very much benefits Ireland with all of these top spots with those triple shroom pulls on the first set. Unfortunately, both are POV starting in mid spots, and Looser actually just going to opt to guarantee 2 bottom boxes here off the start. Not a bad strategy, considering how many of his teammates are in the front. He does pull triple shrooms for himself, so that is quite nice for him. But wondering how many of those players from the start of the race held on to the top spots, but that's Looser off the track immediately with triple greens from Ollie there. A nice play to get Looser out and remove a potential shroomer from Ireland here. As looking at the pack, I do see pretty mixed pack, honestly, in the front. I think both teams benefiting quite well from that first set.
They benefited greatly, and having Shroom's Saga now, honestly, the positioning for both teams is pretty solid. They both have members in the top 2, but they also have the mid pack really fighting for those positions, and that's the type of things you like to see. And honestly, it could really go to either team in terms of this race in particular, but those greens from Saga are going to help. It's going to take care of 1 member, potentially 2 here. But Ali, unfortunately, moving out of the way, and it's not going to hit Lazard, but these triple shrooms are going to help. If we switch over now to Looser, building up and being able to catch up into 5th. The golden being pulled as well. Unfortunately, does not get a chain, but having 16 coins and getting your way up to 4th, it's going to help. But we also see, I think that's a Germany top 2, if I'm not mistaken.
Top 3 even for Germany going into the line here. JoJo with an insane breakaway. But we do see a Bill coming in. Spetty getting the red off onto Looser, and he's off the track. That's a huge red shell there for Spetty, as I believe that ends up being top 3 held by Germany, if not top 2-4. Bottom 5, wow. What an insane turn of events on the last straightaway of Sky High Sunday, and that realistically should confirm the win for Germany here. Ireland's still mathematically in it, but that's just such a huge blow so late in the war. It's going to be really hard for Ireland to make up this difference now.
Yeah, no, it's definitely going to make it even harder for Ireland to make a comeback into this war. And a match 3 is in the cards, at least most realistically, and it's something that going into this, the strategy just needed to be changed of changing the lineup, and I feel like it's paid off immensely for Germany. And with Sky High, or not Sky High, Shy Guys Bazaar being the pick, this is exactly what Germany needs to finish what they've started.
And going for the safe route here, JoJo, the world record holder, in first place. Only natural for them to go for this to confirm the win for them here. We'll have to see how this start goes. But, you know, again, I talked about this last week, but JoJo's world records that he's set recently are recent. It's not like they are months old where he could potentially have de-rusted. They are very recent, so he is very well versed on the track, and yeah, he's holding on to first at the moment after that start, so really nice job to him. Saga protecting with these triple nanos. They are going to get stolen though, and that is an Irish member in second place. I wonder if they have something behind that feather, but it doesn't look like it. But I think that was Blue Show. Yeah, Blue Show came in there, I believe, hitting JoJo in the end. So, yeah, first continuing to be held. But that Irish player in first does fail the turn skip. So now a top two once again for Germany.
Yeah, and it's just super unfortunate right now. We do see Saga in second, and they're going to actually pull just a banana. So it's not going to help them too much, but we do see, I can't tell who that is, but unfortunately getting redded there is Saga, and they're going to lose a lot of time. And I think that's a 2-3 now for Ireland trying to salvage some spots. It would be huge here if they were able to get back into first, and especially with two of the Ireland players. But the shock coming into play, I think I might have called that preemptively, but the shock coming into play, and we do see Looser now in fourth. And I think it might be a 2-3-4 potentially, or a 1-3-4 actually. I think it might be a 1-3 for Germany, excuse me. Okay, it's hard to tell, but I think Germany has won match two, excuse me.
Yeah, they confirmed the win there. That was JoJo dodging up in a bill to confirm. Once again, Germany did not need a huge winning race by any means. They just needed something to, make it mathematically over going into the last race, and that is exactly what they do here. Even with Ireland getting first there, it just wasn't enough. And so that is going to be Germany taking match two in quite a dominant fashion, honestly. They really turned things around, especially in the second half of this match. And, Ireland having, solid races on, I believe it was races 9 and 10. So, keeping it competitive, but Germany, especially off of the substitutions with Lazard and Spetty coming into the lineup, making a huge difference for this team. And again, Cavino having such a strong performance. JoJo as well in the last few races here. Pretty much every player from Germany having a really solid contribution here. And overall, just this lineup in general, I think worked out better for them. As we now go into our last race, Dino Jungle, the victory lap here for Germany on this race 12. But game 3 looking to be a really interesting one here.
Yeah, match 3 is going to be interesting. Can Ireland claw their way back into it? Germany put up a much better performance than Ireland did in match 1, so it'll be interesting to see if Ireland now makes any adjustments whatsoever. They might, and I wouldn't be surprised if they do, but it will be also interesting to see what they can do in any situation, as now we are watching Saga here just trying to hold on to second, trying to think of some strategy for the next war. I think Germany's going to keep their same lineup. I don't think they need to change much on their front, but Ireland. I'm interested to see how they can adjust to all this.
Yeah, it's all on Ireland going into match 3 here, in all honesty. Again, them being the, the lower seed coming from the group stage in a dominant fashion, though, to point out. They had 3-0, very solid performance in the group stage. So it is very doable for them. We've seen them take a match already, and so all eyes really are on them to going into the match 3 here. As ending out Dino Dino Jungle here, we do see Looser with a golden shrimming up at the very end, as one does, and a bill in pocket. This is quite solid for him. But this is a lot of Germany in the tops, and this bill actually is going to end early, too. Not quite what he was looking for here. Blue Shell, though, going to hit JoJo on the line, so a 2-3 in the end for Ireland, making it close, or keeping it competitive on the last race, excuse me, as that is potentially even, 2 through 6, so a very solid ending for them, all things considered. But yeah, like we said, it was already wraps for Germany here, and yeah, what a great war. Very back and forth, but Germany finding their footing and now entering this game 3. Like I said, all eyes on Ireland. We are going to take a bit of a break, though, going in to match 3 here. Really quick, though, want to see when... so they are going to open room at 00, so in about 6 minutes here. So in the meantime, we will take a bit of a break here. Thank you all so much for watching so far. What a really awesome series of games here for Germany versus Ireland. We will be right back with match 3. All right, everyone, we are back with game 3 of Germany versus Ireland here. Tied at 1-1 here. Both teams showing an incredible performance so far, and really looking forward to see how this one pans out. Both teams have confirmed no lineup changes, so we will be seeing the exact same players uh, in this third match, and really looking forward to it. Both teams, showing their strengths and weaknesses here. And again, like I mentioned, all eyes on Ireland here, being the lower seeded team in this matchup. Uh, really interested to see what ends up happening.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be surprised if things went Germany's way if the lineups have not changed. They were so great in that last match. They really, the two guys that they brought on, Lazard and I forget who else,
Spetty.
Spetty. Those two really helped them win match 2, and they're a big reason why we're here right now.
Yeah, for sure. Germany, with the lineup changes going into match 2, definitely contributed to their win. Two very strong players, being Lazard and Spetty here, and we'll have to see if they can carry this momentum forward into match 3. And another update on the scheduling. It does appear that, yeah, USA versus Italy is happening tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern. That is the first quarterfinals match, or aka Atlas League default time. In terms of other matches, it does appear that Spain versus England is going to happen in the week. So it's going to be a weekday match, I believe. So that is also important to consider. And then we know for sure Japan or Canada is not playing their quarterfinal match. Canada versus Asia. They're not playing their match till later tonight. So that match will definitely not be tomorrow. I just don't think there's enough turnaround for either Canada or Asia to turn around and have another match tomorrow morning. It would have to be, since it is against Japan. So potentially midweek Mario Kart WC action coming in. So be prepared for that going into our quarterfinals here. But enough talk about that. We are entering straight into match 3 here. Once again, Saga and Lucer being our POVs, and Saga off to a great start, getting a Shroom on first set, being in second place, and those greens do end up taking Owen out of first instantly. A really strong play from him, sacrificing himself in the process, but overall, I think an overall win for that early, to prevent that early Irish front presence.
You're definitely correct about that one. And right now, we do see actually Saga going for that extension of the vine with those shrooms, but getting trailed out there by his own teammate. Probably not what they wanted in that situation. But at this point, you have to consider the catch-up potential with these mushrooms, or just mushroom, excuse me, but the ghosts being pulled as well, and that's going to be big for a shock potentially if it's in play. I think Saga's going to hold on to it for as long as they possibly can. The items are set up well, but we do see Ireland now, I think, has a top 2, excuse me, and it looks like Saga is just going to use this ghost now.
And look at this payoff here. I don't think he stole the triple reds, but pulling them when Ireland is... looks like they are just top 2. That is Spetty in third, so Saga going to have to hold on to these 4 now. And very little opportunity for them to pass if they want to do the pass, but it won't matter. Bomb coming in onto Saga, getting rid of all of his red shells. What a play, as now Spetty the only threat to that top 2, and I just think Ireland are going to hold on to that for free here. More triple reds pulled by Saga, but not what he was looking for in this instance this time, as it is just going to be last place for him. And Rang on the line, I actually think took out a Biddy Bud there. I'm not sure which one it was. We had one on both teams, so very interested to see. And yeah, top 2 being held on by Team Ireland here. Very solid starting race for them. That's a +8.
A +8 is definitely a great race, at least building off of the last war. But you have to consider you need more than a +8 because Germany can take that back in one race, and they did that in the last match. Now, if they're going to do it in this match, they're going to have to get a good track that they're good on and get the right items. But as of this point, they're going to pick Desert Hills. And that's been a track that's been good for them, at least in matches 1 and 2. But we are going to go to Bowser's Castle, and that is to the benefit of Ireland.
Bowser's Castle coming in, yes, like you said, and now, again, Ireland in a prime position if they space correctly to maintain a top 2 and potentially have shrooms to boot. We'll have to see. Saga, again, starting in last, going to opt to just slow down and confirm a safe box here. And he does pull triple shroom, so it does pay off for him. Meanwhile, Looser on our screen right now makes the charge jump very nicely here. And that is no longer a top 2 for Ireland. I think that actually ends up being a top 2 for Germany off of the start. But switching over to Saga here, once again, triple shrooms. And now Looser as well with a shroom. But he does get hit out before the cut, so that is going to force him to go around. That is big if you are a Germany fan, as now Germany holding a majority of the top spots at this point. And Looser, once again, playing the catch-up game.
Yeah, and I like the items, honestly, that Looser has now. Triple reds in this mid-pack, they can hold on to it. I think the positioning isn't great, but the items can do wonders, and especially with having an Ice Flower as well, probably opting to maybe back these coming up would be helpful. Coming off of the Nish, could do it in a position where they can't really see it coming, but instead they're just going to hold on to it for as long as they can. The ice going back as well, but triple mushrooms being pulled. But Saga is in the front now, and I like the positioning from Saga as Looser unfortunately getting hit off, and Saga having these triple greens and a coin, so it's going to help them, and they are going to nail the charge dump Nisk.
Yeah, doing the forward trick into the wall instead of the left trick. Personally, the strat that I go for as well. I find it to be quite consistent, but Shock coming in, not really going to affect Germany at all here. But actually, no, it might, as Saga does fail the Nisk in first place. Quite unfortunate for him, but we do still see Germany, as far as I can tell, in one. Mystery following up after Shock in third place. If he has a Shroom... Doesn't look like he does. Saga could go for some greens. They aren't going to connect. Horn being used by Mystery early, and I think that is going to cost him, as he... Actually, did he get hit? I couldn't quite tell. I think he might have. Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did, and what a payoff there. As a top 5 from Germany there. What an insane swing. Once again, mirror of last war. To both the first 2 races going in favor of one team and then the other here. Pretty much a mirror of what we saw last war. And yeah, Mystery, just so overwhelmed there. He used his horn, you know, potentially fearing the triple greens from Saga on the other path, and then just having a red in pocket. It was just not much for Mystery to do there, and big swing back into Germany's favor once again.
Yeah, and I think Germany really set themselves up well here for a great pick like Shy Guys Bazaar. And Gravel Road being picked from Ireland, it's not a surprise. It's a catch-up track. It's a long track, but could we see it here early? But we're going to Shy Guys Bazaar instead.
And I didn't quite catch who exactly was in first, but we all know at this point who this track favors in the lobby. And yeah, we do see him in first place. So uh, Germany looking to make a really strong statement really early on in the war, gain this really strong lead, and take command back in this, or I should say, keep command of this match here. As now we see Saga going for the shrooms, and once again, if I am seeing that right, that is JoJo holding on to first, and naturally, once again, being the world record holder here, as now this looks like potentially 5 of top 6 right now for Germany. Hammers being thrown up here, and that does hit Killian out, so maybe even 4 of top 5 now for Germany.
Yeah, and I do see now Saga back in 10th with a mushroom, but it's not going to do much. But a triple red here in the mid pack, again, going to get hit. It's just constantly losing time and even hitting the wall, so they're going to lose even more time. But Looser now in 5th with a shroom and triple bananas. They're going to be effective in this mid pack. Going to actually shroom there and get, I think that might be someone in the process, but the bomb coming out and a Kamek going for the snipe, unsuccessful, but this Kamek probably going to be used maybe in the S turns, potentially. Wouldn't be surprised if we saw that, or towards the end of the race, but just the items right now are not what you need if you're Looser in this position.
Nice backs onto Looser there, and I actually think, yeah, that's Ireland holding down first right now. I'm not exactly sure when Ireland took control of first, but they are holding it right now, as Saga goldening up at the end, hoping to make something out of this race, as he did take a lot of hits on that lap too. And going around the last turn here, Shock coming in late, decent amount of bills coming up, one of them being our POV Looser on the other screen here. He manages to get 5th out of that, and potentially still first held by Ireland. I couldn't quite tell on the minimap. Yeah, first being held. Again, our POV is a bit pixelated, so can't quite read the name, but a 1-5-6-7, a decent race for Ireland. All things considered, it was Menace in first, so really nicely played from him, but a bottom 2 going to make things overall very neutral.
It will be very neutral indeed, but getting back into first is going to help at least a little bit. And it's going to, I think it was a slight win actually for Germany, maybe? But
probably, yeah.
Probably. But yeah, just the situation now. Whistle Stop being picked from Ireland because they have first, and they're going to try to keep it that way. But interestingly enough, Desert Hills and a Toad's Factory, which probably won't be selected, but Desert Hills here could be picked, but it's going to be Whistle Stop, and this was Ireland's pick. And you have to think they're just trying to keep first and help those mid spots get into the front.
Yeah, like we talked about before, Ireland does have 4, 5, and 6, all prime positions to get onto these rails on the left side early, being the fastest path. And Menace on the bottom path, going to go for those triple shrooms in a mid spot. Saga unfortunately burning out on the start here, so we're going to switch to Looser now, as we do see Killian and Looser and Mystery all taking advantage of that start. Now a top 3 very suddenly here for Ireland. Looser weathering the bumps on the U-turn, going to make it over with a ghost. This is quite big for him, but he has to play strategic here. He doesn't want to steal any of his teammates' items, but he does use it now in second place. JoJo actually suddenly getting into first and starting to build a breakaway already. And Green coming out at the end of his ghost. A nice play there from Saga, as JoJo does also get hit out, so pack very, very close. going into lap 2 U-turn.
Yeah, and I think Saga got hit out there as well. And these triple reds in fourth, oh, that's going to take them out. And barely holds on.
Wow.
Wow, that was too close to call. But we do see Looser just going to opt to go around, go for items in eighth. Probably not the position they wanted to pull anything in, but they do get a lucky pull, and they pull Shrooms and a Golden. And that's going to keep them in a favorable position entering lap 3. And now they're just going to opt to just bag a little bit. And I like that strategy because Shock is very much in play. And you have to consider that at all times.
Yeah, it's a very real possibility here going into the U-turn section of lap 3. Looser not liking his alignment for the U-turn cut, so opting to Golden around. Excuse me, that pretty much takes him out of contention to win the race here, unless a late shock comes, but no shock in play. And a decent amount of Ireland, and yeah, Germany was just holding on to it. They use it in like 7th or 8th place on the line, and yeah, no reason to use it at all. 1, 3, 4, 5, 6 for Germany, making a statement in the first GP of this match 3 here. What an incredible race.
It definitely was an incredible race, like you said, and it's just building this lead for Germany. After match 1, it's been all Germany, and at this point, you have to think, what can Ireland do to make a comeback? And they've not been able to really string together back-to-back good races, and that's really been the issue for them, especially in matches 2 and 3.
And we once again see that actually they're going for cheap falls for tops, and honestly, I think that's a really underrated pick considering the spots they're in. There are other tracks, such as the Sky High Sunday, that work really well for their spots, but with cheap falls, if they can space the beginning well and all get the coins they need and have at least 2 of them make Tarzan with Shrooms, they're in a really good spot. So, you know, going a bit more of a higher risk track for them, if you will, off of the start, but with this cushion they already have, I think the potential reward here could be huge for them.
It definitely could be, and it honestly could pay off for them big time. You have to consider the unpredictability of this track. You have to wonder, can really Shock be pulled in a situation where it doesn't really do much? Or does a Shock pull where it's going to do a lot? But right now, we do see Looser having Mushrooms with triple reds, and triple reds especially, surrounded by teammates, probably isn't the best situation at this point, but just going to opt to throw them forward and try to get rid of them is the play here.
Yeah, I think Germany was top 3 there, and might still be holding it, as I'm not even sure that red onto Lazard connected, as now he is just going to opt to troll Cavino as he enters the Nisk. A really great play there, preventing him from going Tarzan, and now Top's still being held by... Actually, so there's at least one spot up there, and Shock coming in, surely a Germany Shock, 2 players dodging in mid spots, Lazard and Saga here. And yeah, Ireland taken out as well. So this is a top 4 now for Germany going into lap 3. But again, these early shocks that Germany have been opting to use sometimes don't pan out as they intend. They are giving Ireland a lot of potential to catch up here at the end with these item sets. We see Saga entering the Tarzan, but he's going to land too high on the wall and clip that branch. That is going to cost him a lot of time here. But at least first being held still by Germany.
That first really does matter. You have to wonder what would have happened, but he's going for the charge jump skip, and he is able to get it. And in fact, doesn't really lose too much, able to get 8th from that. But I think Germany still was able to hold on to their spots and put up a great race. A top 3, 6, 8. is such a great race. And just again, it's been all Germany this war, except for race 1. It's been all Germany.
Yeah, and this time Speddy being the player to hold down first for pretty much the entire race there, and Ireland not really having an answer. I mean, they had Acorn Heights where they had a really strong running performance, but not able to replicate that since then. And again, starting to add up and looking like a very familiar war to the one we saw in match 2, as Ireland slowly losing their grip on this war. But, you know, plenty of time left here for them to make a comeback, but they need to start getting on that soon.
I would say Rainbow Road is a helpful pick for Ireland, but is it too little too late? I don't know. And especially with Sky High, it's just been all Germany getting their picks. And I feel like it's like at this point, it might be too little too late for Ireland, but they need big races here, especially now at the halfway point.
And now we have the Sky High Sunday pick coming in for Germany. And, you know, this could potentially be another huge one here for them. Saga with an unfortunate start getting bumped off, but Looser capitalizing quite well at the start with those triple shrooms that we've talked so much about this World Cup on the beginning of this track. Now with Nanas, he could potentially do some damage as he makes this path switch here over to the inside turn, as that is actually Iron taking over first all of a sudden, but Shrooms in second for JoJo threatening. But Looser with this Ghost, he could do something devious. Yeah, he uses the Ghost early, and I think, yeah, he takes JoJo Shrooms there. Huge play, but he does trade that off with a red shell, and he actually pulled a Shroom in pocket there, but Looser being able to maintain first here for Ireland.
That's what you need in terms of trying to get back into this whole war, just trying to get back into the front as much as possible. I like the charge jump there, avoiding the banana. They had to do it early, but they are able to get a good line. The gold shell is coming into play, but we do see hammers coming in as well. The Shroom being held on by Saga for this shortcut coming up. And it's going to probably mean that they're able to at least come close to first. The bomb being pulled as well. But a horn, you can see that horn, and smartly Saga going to the other path and having a red as well in a tie position.
Not able to use the red defensively as he does get, or offensively as he gets redded himself, but with a feather for potential protection on the line, but it is JoJo behind him. These two been holding down the top spots for Germany essentially the whole race. They are going to finish there, and slowly but surely gaining the upper hand for good in this war, as it is a top 2, and I believe that, what was that, 5? Was that 8, 9, 10, 7, 8, 9, something like that? So a very solid race for Germany here, and it is looking grim for Ireland at this point.
I really think they need a big race now. It's no longer just they're down. It's they're down and they're almost out, because we're past the halfway mark now, and they've been trying so hard to get Rainbow Road. I feel like you have to pick that, and you have to think, like, but instead they're going to go for Dry Bones Burnout instead. And you have to think they need desperately something to go their way, because right now it's just not working. And especially with Salty Speedway, it's just so hard for Ireland to make any progress in getting back into this match.
And going into Salty Speedway here, a very strong running track. We'll have to see how Saga and JoJo opt to play this. As, yeah, Saga going for the sidewalk skip, but getting bumped into the crate. That is unfortunate for him. as Jojo opted to go on the right path for coins, so losing that top two quite fast here for Germany could potentially be what Ireland needs, as I do see a decent amount of them up there off of that start. Saga, though, pulling the shrooms in response, opting to go bottom. He may just opt to fully bag here, as, yeah, he is slowing down. That is probably what he's going to do here. But we are looking at Lucer. I keep mixing up which POV is on screen, but Lucer is up here with a shroom, but opting to burn his Mega early, playing it safe with that German player threatening from behind. And in 5th place, all of a sudden, he's actually keeping up quite well. Triple reds. It is Ollie in front of him, so he could go for the red onto the top path. But bumped off by, I think, a Bill. Couldn't quite tell. The screen share is lagging again, unfortunately, but getting bumped off the top path there, losing a good amount of time. And back to Saga now with Fire, trying to hit the Irish player in front of him, not going to connect. Going for it in the air as well, and I think that one does hit. That is a nice hit from Saga to prevent that Irish player from going the shroom cut. And a really close pack going into lap 3.
Yeah, and you have to wonder, can Ireland put themselves in a better position? I can't exactly tell what some of these players have, but I can tell at this point, Lucer using a ghost in the mid pack actually and pulling ice, but we also see Saga in the back just with a shroom and a star, and it's not going to do much, at least the positioning, and Saga's in a great position. Entering the end of this race, getting onto the rail, doing the tricks that they need, and getting 4th in the process, so they were able to pass up there, and Lucer getting 5th too. I think it was actually a top 2, 5, 6 from Ireland. So there you go. They're right back in it, and it's something that was needed. They needed a race like that. So now they can try to build off of that a little bit.
Top 2, 5, 6, quite good, but a 10, 12 going to mitigate a potential for a large race, but a winning race nonetheless. It is a good start here. And now 4 races to go. Final GP here. Still going to need a standout performance entering the final GP from Ireland, but a good start nonetheless. As we do see Airship coming in for Ireland, a track we have not seen too much of this World Cup again because of this update. Almost a month ago now at this point. It's crazy how fast this month and this tournament have gone, but almost a month now since the update 1.7. Not a lot of shroom potential on that track. There aren't a lot of shortcuts in general, except for the very end. So mitigating the pulls that you get on the first set. But it does actually end up being Desert Hills here. A track pick for Germany that they've opted for all 3 wars. We'll have to see if they can make it work for them the 3rd time around.
Yeah, and I feel like at this point you have to wonder what can Ireland do to take advantage of this track once again. Again, it really doesn't matter how you start, it's more so how you finish on this track, especially if there is a shock, but right now we see Saga in the back, actually, with great items, a Mega and a Bill, but switching over to Lucer, getting hit there, but trading one in the process, and now just playing around these grids, and that's going to force Ollie to go off the track, but hitting the mummy, unfortunately, is Lucer. Now they're going to play this from the back.
But again, we've seen the potential catch-up here that can be done. And Bill being used early by Lucer. Good that he gets it out of the way now, as the Bill is so devastating to have in the later stages of this race. Speaking of Bill, Saga holding it, and yeah, gonna use it early. Once again, you do not want to have a Bill for the final section of this track. Unfortunately, only pulling triple shrooms. Not exactly what he would have wanted there, but should do the job just as well. As he may just opt to go up onto the rail. No, he's going to play it safe and just shroom here. And with 3 shrooms, he is just fine here, as this is a blue shell on the line for Ollie. That might make a difference here, but it's top 3 still at the very least for Germany, and maybe even top 4, as we still see that Pipa there in 4th. And yeah, top 4, 6-9 for Germany. What a strong run there from Jojo in particular, and wiping out any sort of momentum that Ireland could have gained from that prior race.
Yeah, this one's close to over now, approaching race number 9, actually. So it's going to be hard for Ireland to make a comeback, but they put up such a strong fight in this one. I wouldn't be surprised if they make one Alaska gasp.
And very interestingly, we do see the Pianta coming in for Saga here. Again, I don't think the war is mathematically over just yet, so very interesting to see if this is a specific strategy. I mean, he picked Starview Peak, which I think, if I remember correctly, does have a large character as the worst. Maybe potentially picking into that, but it is going to be Dino in the end. We saw this last war on race 12 when the war was already over. So we'll have to see how they opt to play this one, as we also see a conch door on the screen. Very curious here from the side of Germany here.
Yeah, and starting off here early, having at least front presence is actually both of these. And a ghost being used immediately, but somehow unable to take the triple mushrooms. I don't know how that happened, but super unfortunate luck there. And we see Owen and Saga in the top. But again, it matters if you have mushrooms and you hold on to them as long as possible, especially on a track like Dino Jungle, just being able to really utilize those power items for as much as you can. But unfortunately, I think Dino might have sent everybody off, and now the whole positioning has changed. Now we see so much has changed.
And that Dino being a problem on a slightly slower than WR pace, so that it can be, and that did end up being problematic for both of those players, as we do see a lap 2 shock coming in. Not exactly sure who used that. Pretty neutral shock all around, though, regardless, as, wow, look at all of these golden poles. I believe I saw one being used by an Irish player instantly, and now Looser with one being held for sure for the cut, but Fire coming in. That's going to set him back quite a bit here. I'm going to opt to use it early now, as he did get a very low box chain. If this is a Bill, okay, it's a Mega, so still solid, but could have potentially been a first place outright if he pulled Bill on that set. And going for the Mega onto Cavino. He does hit him on his screen. Probably just a hit in general. Yeah, it was. As first place is still held by Ireland in the end. So I believe that is a 1-5 at the worst. 1-5-6. Yeah, 1-5-6-7 for Ireland. D-Man holding on to first in the end. But again, it's just not enough here. As at this point, I think we are still, or wait, are there? I believe it's 2 left now, right? So I think or no, there's 3 left. 3 left. So it's still doable. Ireland keeping themselves in it with that first place, but monumental task.
It definitely is, and if you're Ireland, you're gonna just have to pray at this point and try to get back into to help first out as much as you can. But I feel like a track like Dry Bones Burnout is certainly going to help at least a little bit. But you have to consider it's too little too late for that at this point.
And going into Dry Bones Burnout now, a track that we've seen some insane races happen if Ireland are going to have a large and war war impacting race that is going to be here as we are um, entering here. Looser opting to go around, but missing a box. Saga opting to go the top path here. Very interesting from him. He does shroom and manage to take first outright off of that triple shroom pull. As we now see Looser doing a bit of trolling, he does back Speddy on that middle path. Rare footage of a player using that there. And Saga very comfortably in first, backing that rail, but I don't think anyone would have followed him there. And very solid driving so far. He is holding on to first for now, but how many people are going to shroom up on this lap 1 cut? Yeah, we do see Ollie coming up with a golden. So now top 2 very comfortably held by Germany.
Yeah, and that's the type of thing that you need in terms of trying to put it away. But if you are Ireland at this point, you just have to find any sort of way to break into that. We see now Saga in first, holding on to a feather here too. That's going to be so helpful, especially towards the end, and as well as having defense. And you could take the feather cup potentially coming up. Wouldn't be surprised if that's going to happen. And they are going to take it, and they're going to nail it, so they're going to go on that top path, and that's going to create even more separation and put themselves in a great position as we see Looser just trying to get back into it by shrooming up.
Yeah, and that top path with the feather is really, really fast. It's not only fast, but it guarantees safety. If players throw reds on the bottom path, depending how close they are to you, they can just outright skip you. You're very protected there, taking that path. And now a very solid position for Saga. Even with the catch-up potential on the end of this track, he is so far broken away, it is very unlikely anyone catches him. As this is now a top 3 entering the line, but look at all the players shrooming behind Looser here. This is still potential to be a very mixed pack, as yeah, like 4 or 5 players shroom up in that ending cut. Very mixed result, but Saga, like I said, with such a breakaway, holding on to first in the end. And that is going to be a top 2 for Germany here. Saga and Cavino holding it down in the end. And that is officially going to be Germany taking this best of 3. And what a strong performance from them overall. They bit of a slow start in match 1, but making some lineup adjustments and playing well into their strengths in the second and third war, and it really paid off as 2 very decisive victories in the end here for these two, for these 2 wars for them.
Yeah, congratulations to Germany for taking it over Ireland. It was very close, matches 1 and 2, but 3 showed Germany's dominance in this match. And now you can really opt to just if you're Germany, you could strategize, and if you're Ireland, your run ends here, but just trying to end it on a high note.
Yeah, and we've talked about this with other teams in the past too. Any sort of experience you can gain as a team against an opponent in a tournament match is so valuable. Not only for as a team, but as individual players here. As following the World Cup, these players are all going to return to their main teams that they normally play with for pretty much every other tournament. Atlas League. And those types of tournaments, and so we will have to any sort of experience that can be gained is a win for both of these teams here, but especially for Ireland. And Ireland with a really, really strong run this World Cup. They had an incredible group stage to make it here. 3 very solid victories, and showing that they have potential. And I think if these players continue into our next World Cup, whenever that happens, they have a very strong chance to advance even farther next time, as a lot of players with potential here um, to continue to advance in the Mario Kart World scene. So commiserations to them in the end, but again, big congrats to Germany. They move on to play against the Titans that are Team France. And again, that obviously these players are still playing this matchup, so we don't have an idea of when that match will happen just yet, but likely it happens tomorrow. Alongside USA versus Italy, so keep an eye out on the Discord for when we post those match schedules here. As we go back to this race here, as we do see Ollie in third, Saga in fourth, but at least one Ireland member in the front right now, if I'm reading the minimap right, and very quickly dismantled here as they are going to get hit out and comboed. Nice rang from Saga that takes out 2 Irish members with Shrooms for the cut, as now entering the line, another very dominant race for Germany.
Just showing why they are in this situation to begin with. Germany showing out when it matters the most, and just a top 3, 5, 6. That should put it out of reach for sure, without question, if it hasn't already been already. So just the amount of great races after the lineup change demonstrates so much, and I feel like just a change can really shift momentum, and they hope to use that momentum against France. It's such a tough it's a tough test for Germany, and they can certainly do a lot, but against France is still to be questioned.
And looking at the screen right now, we see a lot of Donkey Kong spawning in on our screen. It appears that Ireland are gambling for that DK spaceport on the last race as 6 DKs, and they do get it here. As, yeah, entering the last race here, trying to end on a high note, like I said. Wanting to play for experience, but also in the end to have fun. And I think Hawk and Travis in our earlier match today did a great job to point that out. In the end, all of these players are playing for fun. Obviously playing to win, but having a good time and, you know, making new friends or building connections with players from their country, representing their country, is the most important thing here at the end of the day. And now ending on a bit of a fun one here. Ireland on the 6 DKs for DK Spaceport.
Yeah, and it's just have some fun. Like, why not have a good time? It's a long 3 matches especially, and everybody deserves to really enjoy the moment. Competing on such a big stage like the World Cup is a big deal for some people, and I totally understand that the situation may be out of the question, but the amount of effort and amount of, honestly, willingness to be getting better is such a big thing, as JoJo falls off the map, by the way, to avoid the group, and loses a lot of time in the process. And again, I like what Ireland has done. They definitely have a bright future if they keep playing together. Their chemistry is very solid. They got a great team presence. They got a great front presence as well. They have a lot going for them. They did so well in the group stage, and I think it's unfortunate they got unlucky with the draw here with Germany. They have so much potential for so much things in the future. But that is it for this war, and it is actually a 1-3-4 for Ireland, so they will end off their run on a high note.
Yeah, solid ending there for Ireland. And do you want to point out as well the vehicle that they all chose to play? That is called the Blastronaut. In case anyone was wondering, and it has some very satisfying sounds when you accelerate and when you have trick boosts and whatnot. So Really cool vehicle all around. Unfortunately, not viable. It just does not have good enough handling, but very fun vehicle to see for this last race. And once again, congrats to Team Germany here on their win. They will play, like we said, they will play against France. Um, Likely tomorrow, but again, not 100%. We will need to wait for them to work that out with France here following this matchup. And really quick, if our host could turn it to the bracket one more time to just take one last look at that before we end things here. So, yes, we do see few updates to this bracket since the stream started. So, once again, Spain taking Brazil in 2 games. That is going to be Spain versus England. That match most likely not happening tomorrow. That's most likely going to be a midweek match. Same with Japan versus the winner of Canada versus Asia. As like I said, that Canada versus Asia is happening tonight still at 9 p.m. Eastern, but the turnaround, to get that match scheduled with the time zone difference is going to be quite difficult. So that match will most likely happen later on in the week. USA taking Austria in 2 games. So the USA versus Italy is happening tomorrow. That is confirmed. That will be at 2 p.m. Eastern or Atlas default time. And then now we have Germany going against France in that bottom right corner of the bracket. So really solid matches today. In the end, though, all of the teams from that top 8 preliminary stage, or 7 of them, excuse me, we still have one more match to go this evening, but 7 out of the 8 so far making it to the quarterfinals. And, deservedly so. Those teams all having such a clear skill gap, and they've shown it these past few days here. So yeah, thanks again for watching, everyone. Once again, our last match for today, Canada versus Asia, will be casted as well. It's going to be tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern, so in about 3 hours from now. So a late night one for you here, and that will conclude our round 1. Thanks so much for watching today, all of the matches. Thank you to Ginja for casting with me this best of 3, and Luckio for hosting. We will be back at 9 p.m. Eastern. Thanks for watching, and we will see you soon.